Hello, and welcome to Rock Your Block, where we highlight individuals who impact our community. I'm your host, Larry Laws. On today's segment of First Home Alliance, we have the honor to highlight an amazing, multi-talented 32-year-old native of Alabama. He has embarked upon a remarkable journey of self-discovery and diverse career experiences that have shaped him into the person he is today. He initially started his professional life in sales and customer service. Adam took an unexpected turn by becoming a flight attendant with a major airline. This role allowed him to combine his love for travel with a deep appreciation for diverse cultures and perspective, whether he was on a domestic route or international flights. In 2009, Adam made a significant commitment to serve his country by enlisting in the United States Air Force Reserve. Over the next years, this experience instilled in him discipline, commitment, and invincible life lessons. Today, Adam serves as a dedicated workflow manager at the Pentagon, working with VMD corporations as a contractor. Looking ahead, he is eager, preparing to dive into the tech industry, ready to explore new horizons and embrace the potential for innovation. His story serves as a testament to the power of embracing change and seizing opportunities as he transitioned from the airline industry to the Pentagon and now sets his sights on dynamic world technology. Please welcome our show, United States Air Force veteran Adam Carlton. A heck of a resume.
It really is. Absolutely.
Adam, well, thank you for coming in on the show today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And thanks for your service for our United States Air Force. You know, I say a lot of good things, and sometimes I say even better things about the Air Force.
It's definitely the branch to be in, that's for sure.
Okay, I'll take your word. I'll take your word. Well, why did you join the Air Force?
Well, I joined for really multiple reasons. I was looking for a way to pay for school, education, and I really was looking for a way to follow in my parents' footsteps. So I was going to school for the medical field to kind of cover my mom's legacy. She was a nurse, and then my dad, he's a Vietnam veteran, served in the Army, so I kind of figured I would combine the two and go for it.
Yeah.
So that's
well, that's great. You see, at least a portion of your family joined the Army, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, what were some of the highlights of your Air Force career?
So many different opportunities to answer that question. I would say I've seen some pretty cool things. My first tech school, I was power production, so when I first enlisted, and I went to Shepherd Air Force Base, which I think a lot of us know. But some really cool history there. I really like history. And they have, what do you call them, storage facilities,
right,
where they created the first jet engines.
Oh, super.
And they tested them there. So that was a pretty interesting piece of history there.
Yes.
Originally from Alabama, so of course, Maxwell Air Force Base. They have some ties with the Wright brothers. So
yes,
I really like history, and wherever I go, I kind of like to learn little different things about.
There are some other things that you like as well.
places.
What are some of your hobbies?
I enjoy cultivating plants. I have quite a few. I have, I think, 30 and counting.
All in one place?
In my apartment.
Really?
It's 704 square feet, and I have probably about 80 square feet left.
Yes.
That's a joke. And then anything artistic, really. I really like music and arts, working with my hands, kind of being out in nature, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so significantly about the plants in reference to being in this area, or this maybe an area in this metropolitan area that you're able to maybe grow some plants that you can't maybe in
Definitely,
Arizona?
it's right. It's all about what region you're in and finding the plant that kind of thrives in that climate or that area that you're in. Obviously, I wouldn't recommend like a cactus or something like that in a very wet place, but yeah, for the most part, houseplants, they're pretty sturdy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know we spoke about your career path, you know, and joining the Air Force. You know, that really it seemed like it would be parallel to be a flight attendant. How did you, you know, go into that path?
So I'll be honest, flight attendant was completely random. It was kind of one of those moments where I was in Alabama looking for a change, ready to get out and go explore something different. I had a friend that was a flight attendant for a long time. They kind of told me the ins and outs of everything, and so I applied, and I wasn't really expecting anything back. And luck would have it, they were like, "We want you to come out, do an interview," and next thing I know, I was packing up and I was in Texas for training.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, which did you like best? The short hauls here, domestic flights, or the international?
I'd have to say, of course, international flights.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's always a different experience, different place, different people. The short flights, it's too much work involved for what it's worth.
Yeah. Well, tell us about, I think a place in Europe. Paris?
I've been to quite a few places in
Yes.
Europe, actually. I've had the blessings of being able to see a few countries in Europe. Paris being one of them. I've been to Zurich.
Yes.
I've been to Brussels quite a few times. Where else? Amsterdam. Scotland, Edinburgh. I think that's my favorite, just because I saw my last name everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Because I was traveling in Europe. I've been to France, but not Paris. You know, so I was in there.
Yeah.
And so, but it seemed to really unique to be able to visit that city there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's definitely an interesting culture.
Yes, and it seemed like in the airline industry, Hawaii, you know, is still one within the United States. But how is the flight to Hawaii and spending time there?
It was long. I didn't realize how far away Hawaii really is until you travel to Hawaii, and then you kind of realize, especially being on the East Coast, our trip to Hawaii was it's actually a 3-day trip.
Okay.
So it's like a 6.5-hour flight from here to California. You lay over there at San Francisco, and then you get up the next day and you make the other trek, which is another 7 hours, I think, to Hawaii. And then you get usually around a 24-hour layover there.
24 hours. Is that long enough?
I don't think so. It's never long enough.
You need more downtime in Hawaii,
exactly.
right?
Not when you got to count in the sleep and all of that.
All of that takes more time than the sleep, right?
Exactly.
All of that, I understand. Yes.
Yeah.
And so a little bit more about your international travel. What was maybe one of your longest routes overseas?
Trying to think. I'd say Brussels. Zurich would probably be the longest one for me, I think.
Is that 3 or 4 days?
Well, so they have multiple routes or trips that you would call it. So there was a 5-day Zurich, and then usually I never got the luxury of having one of those because it was all based on seniority.
Right.
But most of it's a 3-day trip. So you get 24 hours there and then you come back.
Okay. And being military, it seemed that you visit Buckingham Palace. I'm sorry. Buckingham Palace. Tell us about that visit there.
So I didn't actually get to go in, but it was really interesting, really cool to see. This was before Queen Elizabeth passed, so got to see kind of the ins and outs and operations of what they do. It's very interesting.
Did you watch the change of the guard?
Yes. Well, it was something like that. It wasn't that particular ceremony, I think you will,
Correct.
but it was something very, very similar. They opened the gates and that kind of thing.
Yes. Yes,
fascinating.
our change in the guard is good. I love it.
Yes.
But theirs is more
pomp and circumstance.
Yes,
they roll out.
It's
the red
a
carpet.
long ceremony to change
Yes.
the guard. Here. Yes, yes. Okay. Yes, and some of the other places that you visit, Victoria statue. Where was that located?
So there's actually 2 statues. There's one right in front of Buckingham Palace, where the roundabout is. So that's the one that's has the gold leafing and all that kind of stuff. And then there's another one in front of Kensington Palace, which is not far from Buckingham Palace. But Kensington Palace is where Princess Diana and Prince Charles, they lived when they first got married. And there's a statue out in front of that palace as well.
Okay. And so how many trips that you had there to the Great Britain?
To London, I've been to London quite a few times.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's a pretty junior trip, or was at the time. So I was able to pick that one up pretty easily. London's one of my favorite cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what other continent that you would that maybe visit other than Europe?
I have always wanted to go to South Africa, Cape Town, Johannesburg, different areas around there. I was actually had plans to go. My birthday's in November, so I had plans to go when I first got hired on with the airline. When we had picked up that route out of DC, I was going to go and spend a week for my birthday, and then COVID shut that down, and I didn't get a chance to go.
Yeah.
So I've yet to go, but that's definitely on the bucket list.
Yes. Well, COVID, was challenging for us all.
It definitely was.
Actually, we're going to take a break here, and we come back. We're going to talk about a little bit of the effects of COVID.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. We're about to take a short break, but before we go, I would like to remind you that First Home Alliance is a HUD-approved housing counseling agency serving the National Capital Area. If you are a first-time home buyer or homeowner in need of mortgage assistance, please visit the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development website to find a HUD-approved agency in your area. We'll be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
With First Home Alliance, a little bit about First Home Alliance. We are a HUD-approved housing counseling agency that was established in 2002 by our executive director, Larry Law. He established the nonprofit. He established it because his mother purchased her first home at the age of 65. And everyone was like, how did you do that? Because her income was really low. And so that's how he found out about the USDA program. And so through the USDA program, his mother was able to purchase her first home. It intrigued him to see how he could help individuals basically experience the American dream of home ownership. So he established the nonprofit. Mission is to increase home ownership to low to moderate income families. And so what does First Home Alliance do?
Welcome back. You're watching Rock Your Block. I'm your host, Larry Laws of First Home Alliance. And if you're just now tuning in, we're joined today with U.S. Air Force veteran Adam Carlton. Carlton, before the break.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we were talking about all that great travel.
Absolutely.
But we forgot to mention one of the great areas that you visit there at the Sunken Garden. Talk to us about that.
So Kensington Palace has the gardens there where Princess Diana actually designed that garden. And a lot of the plants and everything that are still there, she's responsible for that. So if you ever get a chance to go visit Kensington Palace, they actually do tours. Some of the royals do, I think, actually still live there, but it's a little bit more accessible to the public, so you can actually walk around in the gardens. You can walk really right up to the front door of the palace. It's really interesting.
Oh, that's great, great. And I know we had a flash up earlier during the interview. It was you and your father.
Yeah.
And so are you saying that you're both the same age on those photographs?
Actually, yeah. So I never really realized it until one day we were kind of cleaning out things and going through old photos, and I asked him, I was like, how old were you in that picture? And he was, I think he said he was 21, 22, somewhere around in there. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm the same age in this picture. And I was like, so wait, we're side by side. And if you look closely, I think we look a lot alike.
Oh,
so yeah, it's kind of like a time travel.
Okay.
That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so we're talking about this great travel that you was doing with the airline industry. And so did you think that was going to be the long career path there?
I did, actually. Once I got into it and realized like all of the opportunity and the places that I was going to get to go see and all the places I just got to see in the first 6 months of flying, I was like, oh, there's nothing else I want to do. I love flying. Still to this day, I love flying and seeing all the different places. But I got cut unexpectedly short.
Really? And so during COVID, didn't things pick up during that time period?
No, things I think came to a screeching halt. When COVID hit, a lot of the travel stopped, as you know, and a lot of the borders closed to the international flying, so that cut that completely. And airlines have a lot of flight attendants to keep operations going. I think at the company I was with, we had 27,000 and counting. So if you don't have any international routes, where are you going to get all these people to go? So we were furloughed. They made a hard decision to lay off a lot of us. That was lower seniority, of course, newer employees. That's kind of the unfortunate thing with seniority is you kind of have to take the hit.
Correct.
And that's okay because things are recovering now and things are great, and that's the move you have to make to keep things going. But
yes. Well, during that time period, was you able to keep things afloat?
It was hard. It was not easy, especially with furlough and the shutdown and everybody being at home. It was very difficult to try to keep the bills afloat and keep going. That's kind of where the Airforce really helped me out and was that crutch to lean on, I guess, in that time of need for sure.
And so your full time with the airline was furloughed.
Yes, sir.
But you still was serving in the reserves.
I was, yes,
okay.
sir. Yep.
And so with that, I think you was introduced to VA Rep, the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals.
Yes.
Tell us about that introduction.
So my close friend Julio, he kind of overheard some of the things that I was talking about as far as the difficulty of, finding work, first of all, during the furlough, and keeping everything afloat. DC is not a cheap place to live.
Right.
So he was kind of telling me about some of the things with First Home Alliance and VA Rep and some of the programs resources that are available that I, to be honest with you, had not heard of prior to that. And it was really a saving grace.
Yes.
It helped out a lot.
Yeah. So what was one of the major expenses that you couldn't keep up with?
That was the rent, for sure. The most expensive one, yes. It's kind of a snowball effect, really. Like, especially with, I think, that big of an expense, really. You miss one payment, and that starts that snowball. Then now you're playing catch up, and then you've got late fees and things like that. And I'll tell you, being from a small town in Alabama. When I was late on rent there, it was a $50 late fee or something like that. Here, no sir, it's 10% of what the rent was, and it kept adding up. VA Rep really helped me with being able to get caught up and give me a little room to breathe, for sure.
Yes, well, VA Rep is a team of individuals here. We have a board and a large membership, and so that is a great opportunity for VA Rep, and VA Rep cares to soldiers helping soldiers, veterans helping veterans, and so I like to give a hand up, not a hand out.
Absolutely.
But VA Rep, of course, have strategic partners, and First Home Alliance is one of those partners.
Yes, sir.
So VA Rep just don't hand out awards and, hey, okay, you're a good veteran, a soldier, or
Right.
airman, and so what were some of the things that was required for VA Rep to actually grant the charitable giving?
I mean, it was definitely a process, for sure. There was a package involved as far as, like you said, it's not something that just gets handed out. You have to do the work if you want the resource. The interview process to kind of understand what the need is. And I think that was really the caring aspect, at least in my opinion, is during the whole process, it wasn't a check the box, sign here kind of thing. It was more so, where are you? What do you need? How can we help? And let's get your ducks in a row, and let's figure out what process is going to work better for you. And really customizing that process to my needs.
Oh, great.
So I don't think there's really a set process or a set block. It's really customizable to.
And so what services did you receive from First Home Alliance during that time period?
Well, support for one, just the moral support was a major thing as far as mental health and morale during that time. But I received food assistance, a gift card with money to be able to buy groceries and different things like that I might needed. Rent assistance for sure.
Okay. And then have you do a budget?
Absolutely.
spend-
Yes. There was
a financial analysis, a budget,
a
prove your
financial
income.
analysis. There's actually a class that was virtual
Yes.
that was available to attend to kind of help you with those things and
Yes. And you
really
talked to
getting the
one of our
nitty gritty.
counselors? Did you talk to one of the counselors?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really
Yes.
getting the nitty gritty of what's going on and where's your money going.
Yes. Make sure you have an action plan.
Absolutely.
And that rent is sustainable.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
And so that's VREP did a very good job of supporting that, granting the emergency financial gift. And First Home Alliance, of course, did that part to making sure the due diligence are there, that is sustainable, and that we want a success story, and we
Absolutely.
appreciate you being a success.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. Okay. Now, what do you see? What's next for you?
You know, that's a good question. I've really been kind of thinking about that myself. I am at a point, first time in my life, at least for the last 12, 13 years, that I only have one job. As you said at the beginning, multifaceted. I think that's an understatement if you look at the different career paths and things that I've went.
Matter of fact, tell us about that role you have with the workflow as a workflow manager.
Sure. So I work with the Pentagon and the Chief Information Security Officer as far as handling all incoming packages, things that need coordination on very important procedures, policy, things that come through from Congress, the White House, all kind of places. They need somebody to kind of direct that flow of traffic and make sure that things are getting in the right hands and on time, and it's a lot to keep up with for sure. It's high paced. It's a lot of moving paperwork.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. Okay, and then where you see yourself going from there?
I am exploring my options. I would say I am very fascinated with AI and technology and where things are headed in that career path. It's a brand new frontier in my opinion. So. All gates are open, and I'm really considering which avenue I want to go with that, but definitely something along those lines, I would say.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Carlton, I want to say thank you for coming in for this interview, and also we're proud of you for the time that you spent in uniform for serving our country. Not everyone put that uniform, only 1%, so I really appreciate you being a part of that 1%.
Thank you.
And your service, and we know that you'll be a success, and good luck.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for existing and being there to help us out. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Adam Carlton. It has been an honor to recognize his accomplishments and gain insight on his experience with the United States Air Force Reserve. If you would like to find more information about Carlton, he's on LinkedIn. Now it's time to check our inbox to see how we can help rock your block. This is where we share recent questions sent to us from you, our viewing audience, about financial stability and housing. Today's question comes from Woodbridge, Virginia. How can I create a budget? That's a good question. There's many rules and strategies to create a budget, but there's not one fit all. A budget rule I would suggest considering is the 50-30-20. This is where you would budget 50% of your monthly income to your needs and necessary expenses. Then those are typically fixed living expenses, such as your mortgage or rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, and insurances. Then you would budget 30% to flexible expenses, your wants. This is where your budget is where it's the most fluid and can be easily adjusted when needed. This area includes monthly expenses such as dining out, casual shopping, and entertainment. The final 20% you should budget for saving and retirement. This is your foundation. By establishing and maintaining a strong foundation, you will set yourself up for long-term financial success. I am Larry Laws of First Home Alliance, and it's been my pleasure sharing with you our mission and highlighting people in our community that are making an impact. If you have questions about financial fitness or how we can help make your dream of homeownership a success, email your question to our inbox at help@firsthomealliance.org. Then tune in to our next show to see if your question was selected to be shared with our audience. You can easily get more information about our services by visiting us on the web at firsthomealliance.org. You may also find us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for watching today's segment of First Home Alliance, and join us next time to rock your block.
glad to know that, some of this stuff about like, I don't know, credit, buying houses is like written down somewhere. A lot of the times it's always hearsay, like other friends or family members who have bought houses before, but they can never, tell you legit what you need to get done and do before buying a house.
I definitely think this class should be required for all first home buyers because a lot of times the real estate agent doesn't explain the process to you. So I think this is very important.
It's from the credit up to receiving a loan, and the most important thing is the process that you go through when you're buying the house, and there are a lot of process which you don't have idea about that before you take this class.
Speakers who came up and spoke about each section, they were very knowledgeable in their field, and I felt like it was relatable. They didn't just throw out a whole bunch of terms that went over my head, but they really explained it in a way to where I understood it, and I could even explain it to my children, and it was even easier for me to take home and kind of remember and process and apply to my next steps. The process was amazing.
They start first with the class before even finding a lender or agent. So I did all that and I wasn't able to purchase, and then I was like, you know what, there's a lot of information I'm not aware of. Let me just start from the beginning, to put everything on hold. Start from
Piecing the information together, because you've heard things about the loans and about this and about the credit, but this is like a summary, and it just gives a clear flow of where to go with what you have and kind of building up a plan. So that kind of gives me a whole picture of where I needed to go and how to get there.